NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
You're watching City of Las Vegas TV, your community connection. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. You know, when I first became mayor, we decided that we were going to reinstitute press conferences. I think they're very important. One is you're the conduit between what's happening here and our fellow citizens, who I think need to be informed of what's going on. And I think the more knowledgeable you are, the more you know about what's happening in the city and in City Hall, the better off all of us are. I want to make a couple of opening remarks, and then, I'll open it up, ask me anything, and I'll be more than glad to respond if I know the answer. If not, I'll tell you I don't know it. Of course, first order of business is to congratulate the Aces. We couldn't be more proud of them. They've created quite a dynasty that we're all very, very excited about. Won 3 out of 4 championships over the last 4 years. They make us all proud. I kind of feel like they're family, and that we're all enjoying a part of this. You should know that the mayor of Phoenix contacted me, and we made a little bet. She said, would you be interested in making a bet? I represent Las Vegas. Yeah, I'm very good with that. And so the bet was whoever lost would have to wear the opposing team's jersey to a city council meeting. I will not be wearing a Phoenix jersey, but the mayor of Phoenix will be. And in addition to that, she is sending me a basket filled with items from women-owned businesses in the city of Phoenix, which I think is very cool. And so, again, congratulations to the ACEs. I hope there's a time in the future where we can honor them appropriately at the city. I invited them to come to our city council meeting yesterday, but they're a little busy, and so they respectfully declined, but I hope we'll be able to do that in the future. And we had an opportunity a couple of nights ago to meet the mayor of Henderson and I and the former mayor of Las Vegas, Jan Jones, met them, toasted them, and then they went to dinner that we weren't invited to, and we went home. But I had an opportunity to congratulate all of the ladies, and just think it's great. Want to talk to you about a couple of weeks ago. We had our strategic priority meeting, a special meeting of the City Council where we went over our priorities for the next few years. And our strategic priorities are some of what we've had in the past. Public safety is always paramount on everybody's mind. Health care, very important, and as our community continues to grow, we are going to have to ensure, even though this isn't a direct responsibility of the city, but for our fellow citizens and for people that are going to be moving to Las Vegas, we should ensure that they have access to affordable health care in our community. And so that has been a very important issue for us. Economic development, obviously all you have to do is look out the window and know that the city is actively engaged in economic development. Arts district, medical district, downtown Las Vegas, all booming, and we are open for business. We look across the street at Symphony Park, which when I was a kid growing up here could never have imagined that this would have existed in our city. There's only one parcel left for development, and later today is the opening of the new hotel, Jackson Shaw. So I'll be there to celebrate with everybody that's going to be cutting the ribbon. The new strategic priority for the city is affordable housing and homelessness. I think that's self-evident, both of them, but affordable housing is a very important issue for us, and we have a dramatic shortage of affordable housing throughout southern Nevada, but the city of Las Vegas is not immune to these needs, and homelessness have a growing problem that we wanted to elevate to a strategic priority. You know my opinion. Human beings should not be living on the street. It's dangerous. It's unhealthy. There's nothing good about that. And I'm quite sure when people are born, they don't think, oh, when I'm in my 20s, 30s, 40s, I want to live on the streets. So we are committed to doing everything we possibly can to provide mental health therapy, addiction therapy, and job training to get as many people as we can off the streets and self-sustaining. It's not my goal to sustain people on the streets. It's my goal to get people off the streets and self-sustaining so they can take care of themselves and their families. So that has been elevated to one of our strategic priorities, and I think that was a very important thing to do. This weekend, there will be a number of protests in our community throughout southern Nevada, and we will have a number of protests here in downtown Las Vegas. Again, everybody has a right to protest. I grew up in the 60s. I did my share of protesting at UNLV when I was a student there, and so that is a very important right in America. To protest. I'm going to admonish and encourage the protesters to be peaceful, police officers are just doing their jobs. Protest, make your opinions known, but don't do anything that is going to be harmful to other people or ultimately harmful to yourself. So I think I'm asking everybody, both law enforcement and our protesters, to behave responsibly, use good common sense, and we want people to be able to come back and protest later on and not be harmed in any way. And also law enforcement, they go home to their families also. So that's an important issue for me. I want to keep everybody safe and protect everybody's constitutional right. And with that, those are my opening remarks. And now I'll open it up to the press. Any questions you may have, please feel free.
Hi, Mayor. So speaking of the protests, is the city taking any precautions in advance to
Say
prepare?
that again?
Is the city taking any precautions regarding those protests in case they do get out of control?
Law enforcement is going to do what law enforcement is tasked to do. They are, from what I understand from the sheriff, they're preparing for the protest. It's going to be a very, very busy weekend. While we're celebrating the aces in the parade, we're going to have protests going on. So I think Metro is going to be very stretched this weekend, and that's why I'm just hoping everybody exercises restraint and common sense, but they will be prepared for any eventuality.
You also touched on homelessness. Do you have any updated stats on how homelessness is in the city right now?
It's growing. There's no doubt about that. I may have mentioned this in the past, but I think it's worth reiterating. Several months ago, I received a telephone call from the Mayor Bloomberg in New York Foundation. He is partnered with Harvard, and they reached out and said that they select 40 mayors across the planet to be a part of this program, and would I want to apply for it? Now, I was relatively new in this office, and I felt, look, I've got enough on my plate, so I said, well, thank you so much, maybe later in my tenure, but right now I'm a little busy. And they said, well, Mayor, you've already been accepted in the program, so it'd be a good idea if you applied. I said, well, okay. So I did fill out the paperwork, and a couple of months ago I was back in New York with 47 mayors from around the world. They wanted to know what my major issue is, and I told them my major issue was homelessness. So we are now working with the Bloomberg Foundation and Harvard, along with Acelia, who is homelessness is in her portfolio at the city. Human Services Director, and our city manager are all part of this program. So it's more than just the mayors, for show. We are serious about coming up with a strategy that is going to help us not solve. If somebody says, are you getting every homeless person off the street? I don't think that's possible. But we're going to do everything we can with the Bloomberg Foundation's help and Harvard's help to come up with strategies that are going to get people off the street. And again, it doesn't take a genius to see, a large percentage, and I don't want to name something because I'd just be making it up, a large percentage of people that are living on the streets have serious mental health challenges, serious addiction issues. If you're not addicted before you get on the street, you're going to be addicted pretty soon afterwards. And I spend a lot of time out on the street interacting with our homeless. A couple of Saturdays ago, I was at the CARES complex, which is right next to the courtyard. They open up the facility every Saturday morning, so I got there a little bit before 9 o'clock because they open the gates at 9 o'clock. People can get food and take a shower, do laundry there, things like that. And what I observed, because people were lined up and they weren't yet in the facility, is that along with the United States' aging population, the homeless are aging. And so many of them that were standing there were either in wheelchairs or in walkers, waiting to get the services that the CARES complex provides. And I thought this is very unsettling. I mean, I'm in my 70s, and I have the challenges that people in their 70s have. I can't imagine living on the streets and trying to take your meds and take care of yourself and check your blood pressure. I mean, those things don't exist on the streets, and that's why it's so challenging. And it just, I guess, just kind of steeled my resolve that this is a problem we absolutely have to deal with.
Mayor, you've always spoken highly of Fremont Street. LVCVA, their most recent tourism campaign, they chose to highlight Fremont Street. Have you seen any change in our tourism since then?
Well, I know that tourism is down in southern Nevada. And being on the Convention Authority Board, we've been working with the hotels and the Convention Authority to not only start promoting Las Vegas again and continuing to promote Las Vegas, but trying to demonstrate that there are still very good deals in Las Vegas, and that it's where come to Vegas, you still have a great time, and there are many ways to have an affordable vacation. Where is the best value right now in southern Nevada? Fremont Street, downtown Las Vegas. The rooms are less expensive. You could have a great time on Fremont Street for a very nominal amount of money, and so we're doing relatively well in the city as opposed to the county when it comes to tourism numbers being down. People are coming, and they're coming to downtown Las Vegas. Also, part of that is the arts district. People are coming at the restaurant. Now that I'm mayor, I try to restrict my eating and other amenities that my husband and I enjoy to the city of Las Vegas. One is I want to promote businesses in the city. So obviously there's always pretty much always a camera following me around one way or another. So I'm promoting businesses and really loving the food that we have. So, with this and the museum, the art museum, which is going to be built in memory of Elaine Wynn, the Mob Museum is spectacular, the Neon Museum. So and the Civic Plaza. I mean, we're providing opportunities for people to come down here, not only enjoy themselves, but spend a little of their money. And that's the goal. Is yes, you're at the Bellagio for a long weekend. One of the nights you're there, come on downtown and have a great time. And so the fireworks, which I think they've finished now, but the fireworks at the plaza every Friday night at 9 o'clock, fun. I mean, we just want people to come here and have a good time.
And lastly for me, the pet adoptions ordinance that you sponsored, that's going to be heard in November. Can you talk to us about what you hope comes out of that?
Yes. It is a combination of regulations, stiffer regulations to ensure that pet stores treat these pets appropriately and safely. So that's part of it. For the time being, we have 12 pet stores in the city. We used to have 2 when the county passed their pet ordinance ban. Pet ban ordinance, we ended up with 12 as opposed to 2 because they left the county and they came into the city. We're going to grandfather those in for the foreseeable future. And we will, but there will be a ban on pet shops. First of all, no new licenses issued, but there will be a ban in 3 years. So we're giving the pet shops 3 years to figure out how they can stay open without selling dogs and cats.
Is interim city councilwoman Kara Kelly on board with it? Seaman likely would have been.
Oh, yes, definitely. This is part of, I worked with Victoria to craft this this ordinance. And so this is largely what we compromised on. Kara is new and just getting her feet wet. I suspect when the votes are counted, she will be a yes. but she's out of town right now, so I can't speak for her. But I think she will be comfortable with the ordinance.
Hi.
Hi.
You've expressed support for the film tax credit bill that is potentially going to be reintroduced during a special session. Do you think it has what it takes to kind of be passed?
I don't know. That's a legislative decision. I know that the unions consider this a jobs bill, and it will, in fact, create a lot of jobs for a lot of our labor unions. I do know that there's some controversy, and some of the think tanks in town don't think it pencils out and would not ultimately be good for the city. I'm a great believer in diversifying our economy and bringing everything we possibly can to Las Vegas or to Southern Nevada to stimulate our economy. If the legislature votes and the governor signs the legislation, I'll be all in. If they vote no, be surprised, but life in the city of Las Vegas will go on. So, we'll see what happens with the legislature, but I will have little, if any, input in the final decision, obviously.
Boring Co. just announced that they are bringing some of their routes up above the tunnels. Do you think that changes any of the original kind of spirit of the plan? How do you think that this will affect the taxi industry?
That I don't know, but I was kind of agnostic about the loop, and it was over there. But there are plans now to bring it to downtown Las Vegas with a stop by the Stratosphere and then a stop kind of in between the Plaza and Circa. And so they invited me to ride in one of the cars, and I have to say it was a very cool experience. So any mode of transportation that brings people from that side of town to downtown Las Vegas, I think it's incumbent upon the mayor to be supportive of that. Do I know if this is the best thing? I don't. But what I do know is it's a really cool thing, and I think people are going to ride the loop just because it's different and unique and interesting. And so, again, I want to encourage people to come to downtown Las Vegas, enjoy everything we have to offer, and if they want to use the loop as a mode of transportation, amen to that.
Thanks. And I just have one last question. There's also talk of Governor Lombardo's crime bill being reintroduced in a special session. Part of that provision is introducing a new court that would only deal with crimes on the Strip, called the Corridor Court. Do you support that reintroduction? How do you feel about that?
It's not in the city of Las Vegas, but if they feel that that would help with law enforcement and I would hope streamline the judicial process so you're not clogging up the justice and district courts with even more cases that occurred on the Strip, then I think it's a good idea. And again, I think the primary reason for the special session is to get the governor's crime bill passed. So they'll work it out. And if I don't think anyone is calling for the opinion of the mayor of Las Vegas, but if it helps with our court system, okay.
Hi, May Berkley. Thank you. I was wondering if you had an update on how the federal shutdown's affecting Las Vegas.
So far, not. As a matter of fact, I checked in anticipation of, first of all, I'm concerned. I mean, we have approximately $100 million in federal grants that pay for SNAP and WIC and Meals on Wheels and programs that are essential to keep families afloat or above water. And so I worry about that all the time. So far, according to the people at the city that I rely on for this information, nothing seems to have been impacted yet. and I'm grateful for that. Now, how long this shutdown, federal shutdown, is going to go on for, I have no idea. Whether it will eventually impact, I suspect it will, but at this moment in time, everything is normal in the city.
There was news about a week or two ago that that Harry Reid Airport had a slowdown in air traffic controllers because of people calling out sick during the shutdown. Is that not a problem
I think
anymore?
it's across the country that
Okay.
that's happening, so I'm not shocked
Right.
that that the air traffic controllers at Reed are not acting, behaving in the way that air traffic controllers are across the country. It is, when you have a family to support and you rely on that job, and this is separate from job satisfaction or anything else, you've got to support your family. And the fact that there are a number of workers that are working with no pay right now, including our military, I think is unconscionable for those families.
I have one other question, just about if you have a comment on the ACLU's lawsuit that came out a couple days ago about Las Vegas Metro's agreement with ICE surrounding cooperating with ICE.
We're watching that lawsuit very, very carefully, and I suspect that across the country, most cities are watching what the courts are going to do when it comes to ICE and Metro. The Sheriff has assured me that Metro is not doing anything with ICE in a proactive way, and I believe him. So the idea that ICE and Metro are working hand in glove to arrest people and create challenges for them, the sheriff has advised me that that is simply not the case. So it's a balance between protecting our fellow citizens and complying with federal law.
Mayor, there's been a handful of cases of pedestrians being hit on our roadways lately. Is the city doing anything to address that?
Well, you know, when it comes to school zones, yes, we are. And we have a very ambitious program, depending on how much money we have, that we are, in fact, out there in the crosswalks by the schools to ensure our children are safely are able to come and go from school safely. But let me say this, there's also a little personal responsibility here. We're dealing with children and adults in cars. They need to be very careful when they are in school zones, to be mindful of the fact we have children walking to school and inattentive behavior, talking on your cell phone, being inebriated when you're behind the wheel are all no-nos. Same thing as, and I've said this at a number of our press conferences, red lights are not suggestions. You're supposed to stop. And I don't know whether you've noticed it, but I've personally observed cars long after I stopped at a stoplight on Charleston. This is going back a couple months ago, and it was a red light. I stopped. The car behind me went into the next lane and sped through the red light long after I had stopped because it was a red light. Got to stop that. I mean, people's lives are at stake here, and what a mistake that could destroy lives by just being foolish and not observing the traffic laws. The red lights are one of those. School zones are another. You're supposed to slow down. You're supposed to keep an eye out. You're supposed to stop if you see children walking across the street. Those are things that are no-brainers, and we are creating tragedies for people for absolutely no reason. So a little personal responsibility by my fellow citizens would be a very good thing right now.
Thank you, Mayor.
Sorry, I don't want to take too much of your time, but I just have one more question.
You are my time. I'm here.
I recently wrote a story about marshals in the city. There's been several lawsuits against the Las Vegas City Marshals. A couple of them are referring to marshals kind of patrolling the highway or overstepping their boundaries. What do you think that the jurisdiction of the Las Vegas City Marshals are?
Well, we know what the jurisdiction is. It's the city of Las Vegas. However, and again, I'm not going to comment on individual lawsuits because they're going to play out in the court. But if I think I know that they may have made some traffic stops on, and they're not within the jurisdiction of the city. But can you imagine if they were watching somebody weaving in and out that was obviously inebriated and didn't stop them? Then people, oh my God, the marshals were right there and they drove right by this guy that was obviously impaired and a danger to others. So I think it's a tough call. The courts are going to decide. But I would imagine as a citizen, if I see something like that, I have a right to intervene and be able to prevent what could be a tragedy. I think the marshals, as if nothing else, as citizens, have the responsibility and the right to do the same thing that I would be able to do. So we'll see what happens with the lawsuits.
Anything else? All right, everyone. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, guys. I'll see you next month, I'm sure.
On a stove full of wood.